The latest challenger on the scene, the H50R thermal monocular from Noctix. Is it any good? Is it worth your cold hard cash? How does it perform? Let's talk about it now. So let's get started. The way I want to do this is walk through some of the key features and the specs and then give you my feedback along the way. Now, for context, I've been using this device for about 2 months now, hunting predominantly in Queensland and in Victoria, deer and goats. And it's important to talk about Victoria because Victoria recently has changed its laws concerning handheld thermal monoculars, not scope mounted, handheld ones, which are now allowed in public land scenarios. So things are changing, and it's worth talking about these. Now, what is it? So essentially it's a handheld monocular and it is the H50R. Now, what do those numbers mean? The 50 refers to the diameter size of the ocular component, which is 50 millimeters. The R stands for the rangefinder. Now, the rangefinder on this thing is definitely worth talking about. It is a 1200 meter rangefinder, which is awesome. The actual detection distance on this unit is 2,500. That's on the 50R. Now the 35 is smaller than that, but for the 50R, it is 2,500, which is quite a ways. It's fairly impressive. Now, the resolution is 640 by 512, which is a great quality image. The aperture on the lens as well is 0.9, so it's f0.9, which is better than most standard binoculars that are out there on the market, which are f1.0. Now, what does that mean? Essentially, it refers to the amount of light that the device pulls into it, allows into it, and then the website claims that because it's f0.9, it allows 20% more light. So that's quite a lot more light. The more light you can get into it, the better quality image. The image quality of this thing is something that's actually really impressed me. Now, I'm not a huge, massive thermal user, although I have used them in the past. I have a number of different handheld units myself, and every year they're getting better and better and better. I was really impressed by the quality on this thing. I'm not just saying that. I'll show you some footage and you can make up your own mind. But they're just getting clearer and clearer and clearer. And it's really important that you have that clarity when you're using a thermal device as opposed to a night vision device where you tend to get better clarity, better kind of detail, although it's harder to spot the animals. With thermal units, it's easier to spot the animals, but you often sacrifice that for visual fidelity and quality. Well, that's changing now. And this device certainly had some really clear optics, which I certainly appreciate. Let me talk about the rangefinder. And I love the rangefinder on this. It's fantastic. You essentially, the way that you use it is you hold down this front button and then it activates the rangefinder. The display itself, that 640 by 512, I love the fact that it's a circular display. Now, that may seem trivial to you, but for someone who's used traditional optics for a long period of time, having that more natural field of view just makes me feel more comfortable. I hated using older binoculars that had the 16 by 9 square or 4 by 3 view. It just always felt unnatural and pulled me out of that hunting mindset. But when I look through this now and I see what my eye expects to see, which is a circular display, yes, it's digital, but it's enough to kind of trick my mind into feeling a little bit more comfortable with it. So props for going with a circular display. I think that's awesome. Yes, you lose some of the image, obviously, because it is circular. They have to crop it. But I prefer having less of the image and having it feel more natural than more of it and feeling more digital. So that's pretty cool. The zoom as well, it's 4 by 40 zoom. It's all digital. It is great. I really like the zoom. I like it for a few reasons. First and foremost, there is that stabilization, so it feels more natural when you're really far zoomed in, and you can get 40 is quite far. That feels better. It's not jumping around as much. Again, it's still jumping around a bit because you are holding it, so you're restricted to how much your arm is moving. But I like the stabilization. I really like the fact that when you hit the zoom button, you press the forward button, the image physically zooms. It zooms in as opposed to just kind of cuts and then appears then later at the zoomed in level. Now, I like that because A, it feels more natural, but B, also you've got greater context to where the animal is. You're not losing context. It's not like a scene change in a movie where you're like, okay, where am I? And that's often an issue with thermal binoculars, is that it's sometimes easy to lose your place in the image, to lose where you are in the context of the area that you're in. You're all kind of so kind of focused in on the device itself when you're looking through that you can lose where you are. And that kind of natural zoom in and pull in of the image, even though it's a subtle effect, is a good one that I really like. The build quality on this thing is fantastic. It's chunky. The battery life is fantastic. 11 hours is a long battery life. That's more than enough to take it out on a bunch of different trips. You can leave it on, you can have it in standby mode. It's really good. I also like the really chunky focus wheel at the front that has a lot of grip on it. That's great. It's a really well-made unit. You can see here I've got a strap on it as well that you can, and this is just a strap that I've got, but essentially if you want to put it over your shoulder, you can strap that in. It's got a bunch of different lugs that you can connect to. USB-C, the fact that it uses USB-C is great if you're wanting to charge it. You don't have to necessarily charge it in the wall. You can charge it via a computer or a battery pack or whatever. And being USB-C, that's incredibly universal, obviously. A feature that I like, but initially frustrated me, was the lens cap. Lens caps are always just, can go either way, whether they're rubberized and they stick to the front or magnetized or whatever. I initially thought that this was a twist cap, which nearly made me break the unit. It's not. There's this little button here. When you push it, it essentially pops off. That's a great feature, but it's just, I think somewhere in the manual, it would be worth noting that that's actually what you do. You want to pop the cap off, that you just press it and then it comes off. Really useful in the field. You're not having it dangle around. It's not going to flap around. It's not going to get in the way. You know, those ones that you kind of pull off and pull back. It's great. And when you want to close it, you just close it. So really good impressions of this unit. Really been enjoying it. Excited to use it more, especially in Victoria. Only have good things to say about the Vista. It's a tidy little unit. If you want to learn more, I will drop a link below where you can check out more information from Vista's site about the unit itself, some more information about its specs. And if you have any questions or comments about the unit that you want answered, if I can answer them, I will drop them in the comment section below this video. Also, again, if you do want to check out that more hunting, practical demonstration of this unit, I will drop a link to that. Otherwise, happy hunting.